Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is day 4 of the build, and I started moving some of the materials over that I got yesterday, and I thought, you know what, let me show you all how I move my stuff around, because I cannot carry a lot of weight, and I do it the Alaskan way. I don't know if it's the Alaskan way, it's just how I do it. But I've already moved the concrete that I'm going to use for these front pads. I moved a little bit of wood, and let me go ahead and show you how the form came out, or how the block came out that I poured the other day. Look at that. Came out pretty nice. All in all, it will do the job. Nice and sturdy on there. So looking pretty good. I went ahead and got the other one around it. Victor said he's going to help me today do this one. And in addition to doing this one today, I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 front ones. These 2 here in the front, I'll go ahead and do. And then also, before I do any of the concrete work today, I'm going to go ahead and put the joists on this front part of the deck. Make sure it's square before I do any pouring of concrete. So when I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that this is square, now this part here is square, because you see this here, this is already attached to the structure. So it's not moving anywhere. However, since these are still free, they're not concreted in, or there's no floor joists in, they're probably off by about 1/2 inch or so. And that's why I have to put the floor joists in first, to make sure that it's perfectly square before I go ahead and ground it in with concrete. So let me go ahead and show you how I move things around. That's the sled that I used to mix my concrete here the other day. So all I do, ladies and gentlemen, so that I don't have to make 20 trips carrying one piece of wood at a time to the construction site, I guess you can call it, I just go ahead and stack them on that sled. That sled will probably take about 10 pieces of 2x6x8s. And then I use the rope to wrap it up around it. And then I just pull it down there. And since it's a little bit downhill, it's an easy pull. So now that we are all ready to go, I need to change the blade on my saw, and I am going to go ahead and sharpen my knife because it's pretty dull. As you can tell, this BK2 knife that I use is all beat up, but that's what I use it for. There's like a utility knife that it doesn't matter to me if this thing gets beat up or not. It's an outstanding knife, very heavy duty. But first we need to change the blade on that saw. Now when I take my blade off, I always lay it on the platform here like this. That way I know which way to put the new blade on. I put it on the wrong way before and was like, what in the world is going on here? So you can see there, the teeth are pointing the same way. And now that the blade is on, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and sharpen this knife. I'm going to turn the sound off during this because this thing has a high-pitched noise. But if you've never seen this knife sharpener, it is pretty awesome. It's like a little sanding belt that it has on it, and it comes with a 20-degree angle already on it, which is pretty close to what these knives need. They usually are between 20 and 25 degrees. 20 degrees works really well on this knife. And when you purchase it, it also comes with a device that you can change this out and put one on for scissors. So this is a pretty cool little thing. Any of you that are going to ask, because I always have people ask, this is in my Amazon storefront. I've had this for a long time and it works great. I remember reviewing it, I think a couple years ago or so. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's got a very nice edge on it now. All right, so let's go ahead and cut some wood. So ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do here is, as you can see here, you see 4 2x6x12s. What those are for is so that I can cut them in half and fit them in between these joists right here. Now the reason that I got 2x6x12s, knowing that I was going to have to cut them in half, is because the span from the far joist to this one is 12 feet. But since we're putting them in between, I knew I was going to have a piece of wood that was less than 6 feet long. It was a lot cheaper to get one 2x6x12 to cut in half and then cut it so that it will fit in between there than it would have been for me to just buy two 2x6x8s. This is day 5, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the progress we've had so far. I have to stop on the deck right here because I didn't get enough brackets. So I have to go back and pick up 4 more brackets so that I can finish that. The deck is off square by like less than ½ an inch, but it's all fine. We'll be able to work with that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these 2x6s hang off about ½ an inch on each side. So I'll be able to get it back to looking square. You won't even be able to tell that it's ½ an inch off. But let me show you, ladies and gentlemen, what happened when I was doing my second pour of concrete. So I told you all during the live stream that we were pouring this set right here, and then look at what happened. It blew out. It blew out. So what I did was, as soon as it blew out, I put my foot right here to hold it. And I told Victor to come over here and go ahead and put his foot there as well and hold it. I ran to the truck. I grabbed me a couple straps. I got this extra piece of wood here, this piece of siding scrap wood, and I held it together, and it actually held together pretty well, as you can see. So we're just going to go ahead and we were waiting for it to harden up. So we're going to go ahead and pour this all in today to get it all poured in. And even though it's going to be not a perfect square, it's still going to do the job. It may not be very pretty, but it's still definitely going to do the job. So when you run into hiccups, you just have to pick up the ball, ladies and gentlemen, and continue to run. You know, you can't quit just because something happens that you weren't planning on happening. So, you know, pouring the concrete and getting the foundation pretty much set, that's pretty much, in my opinion, the most time-consuming part of this. And I bought some concrete that you're just supposed to pour in and pour water in, and it actually worked pretty good. I just wanted to try to see if it would work, and we just poured it in there without mixing it, poured a gallon of water like the instructions said, and look at how hardened that got in. I just put these pieces of wood on just to see how it looks, to see how level it is. And as you can see, it looks pretty level. I haven't screwed any of these down. There's got to be at least a 1/8 inch gap in between these boards before I screw them down. The only one that I did screw down is the one here in the end. But that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's looking like today. It looks like it might be doing a little bit of raining today, and we did have some rain predicted. So I'm going to go get some concrete ready so that Victor and I can at least finish that post back there. And then once we do that, it's probably going to be it for today as far as working out here. And as you can see here, I already took the straps off of this form here. I just thought I'd show you all how I take the form off. For those of you that are not familiar with this, it's just a matter really of banging it off. But to take the form off, it's really easy. It's just getting a hammer and banging it off, and then we'll see what we ended up with. So now that the form is off, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it's not a perfect square like the other one was, but it's going to do the job. All right, we have a nice mass of concrete here that's going to stabilize this corner, just like that other corner over there. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the form around this one right here. And this afternoon, we're actually going to go shopping for the food bank here in a few hours. Victor and I are. So I'm going to put the form around this one. That way this afternoon when we get back, Victor can help me fill this one up. The white fibers that you see me using here are fibers that are used to help to strengthen the concrete. That way if they develop cracks, the concrete won't fall apart. And that's it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. This one took 3 bags. I try for these molds to have somewhat of a slope that way, going down this way. Because that way if any water gets on it, it'll naturally want to drip off going backwards, where it's the slope going down on the property, instead of it staying there in a puddle. So I don't think I've told you that before, but if we put a level on all these other molds, you'll see that they're pitch going down instead of level. Not a lot, just enough so that the water can naturally roll off. And ladies and gentlemen, this is nothing but a glorified post hole. That's it. I'm not finishing it off, making it look nice and pretty or anything like that. All I want is this mass to be here, adhered to my footers or pads and to my pillars. That way there'll be little chance of them moving around. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm getting done for today. We have to wait till tomorrow to do our last concrete pour. So as you can see, I finished this one and I had to come back to it and smooth it out a little bit because one of the dogs stepped in there and I don't know which one it was. This one right here is good to go. You can see that I think this one only took like 3 bags of concrete. This one obviously has been done for a few days. And let me show you the one that I just did. I actually did this myself, ladies and gentlemen, but how do you pour 5 bags of concrete? You just pour them one at a time. So I took my time doing them, did one at a time, and this is going to be good enough. It's not as high up on the pillar as these other ones. However, it's still about 2 or 3 inches up on the pillar, which is just fine. All right, so that one right there, we're going to go ahead and let that one sit for the next 24 hours before we take the form off. And then something that I do every day after I pour some concrete, I do it every day for like 3 or 4 days, unless it rains, unless it rains. I go ahead and look at this one. You see how this one came out? I think I already showed you. I go ahead and I pour a little water on it. Little water on the sides and on top. Because the concrete isn't really done curing for about a month or so, about 28 days or so. So I make sure that I give it some water so that it can get whatever water it needs, and then if it rains, that's just a plus that I don't have to do it. So this is the one that we're going to do last after that form over there. It's not needed over there. So what I'm going to do is next time we come back, ladies and gentlemen, that pillar will be done and this deck will be on, and then we'll start putting on the floor on this part over here, and then it'll be time to start building the walls. But before we put on the floor, I forgot, there's a lot of work to be done. We have to insulate all of this. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of day 6. I have to go get one piece of wood and let me show you. It's kind of funny. There's karma. So as you can see, my deck is up. However, on my deck, I have to go get a piece of 2x4, because you see over here, whenever I put my planks down, I always measure from the planks from one end and the other end of the plank to that side to make sure that I'm pretty even to the end. That way I don't end up with one 2x6 hanging out 4 or 5 inches and over here hanging out only like an inch or so. So when I measured, I saw that we were going to be 4 inches or 3.5 inches off. So I went ahead and put a piece of 2x4 here. This is just a regular piece of 2x4. I put it in here so I can continue working. And so now I have to go get a piece of treated 2x4x8, take this one out and then slip that one in. And then as you can see here, let me show you a couple of things that I've done that I didn't really explain to you all or show you all. Well, as you can see here, I finished pouring my last form right here, my last concrete pillar. One thing that I do, I know it's kind of an overkill, but I like to do it, is whenever I'm building on pillars, you see that I put a little bracket here, and then I put a piece of treated 2x4 as the support mechanism. Now that is not structural. That has nothing to do with holding this up. As you can see, I just used a few screws to hold the brackets right there. That's it. It's not structural. Screws are not meant for, structurability because they shear easily, right? Nails are meant for structurability, just like you see that I use nails over there. Right, so those brackets and screws are just there to hold up that piece of wood. If for some reason this nut over here ever fails because it gets rusty or for whatever reason, then this little piece of wood here will catch it along with that one over there as well. It'll catch it, and I'll notice. You'll notice it because it's not on there really hard. It's probably got about a 1/16 of an inch gap between the wood and the concrete. So I put that on there on all of my outside posts just to I guess just to have a good warm and fuzzy feeling inside. So you see that one's got one, this one's got one, and of course I put it on each side of the pillar. I put one on top of the pillar on the outside and one on top of the poured concrete on the other side. So that's what they look like right there. And then I put one over here as well, as you can see. And then once that one over there dries up, then we'll go ahead and do the same with that. But right now, what we're going to do next is, on the next video, you'll see that I've started putting up all of the insulation. And of course, the deck will be complete with that treated piece of 2x4 by 8 feet long. I was hoping to get to doing the insulation today, but I forgot about these braces. So probably a couple of clips ago, I probably told you all that I was going to be doing insulation, and that you would see the insulation done before the floor started going up. But I forgot that I had to do this, and this actually takes a little bit of time because you got to measure and cut, and if it's not just 100% right, you got to do a little measuring again. So, but it's worth the effort. I believe it's worth the effort. So this is where we're at so far. I know that things are going pretty slow as far as this goes. However, you know, slow and steady wins the race. I have to listen to myself when I notice that things are going a little bit slow. I know that little by little we'll get it done. So I'm hoping that on the next video, this floor will be insulated and we'll be getting ready to put up the actual floor on top of these joists. All right, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this little part. So this was day 4, 5, and 6. In all actuality, it wasn't day 4, 5, and 6 in a row. I took yesterday off from working because I was kind of beat up. So I figured I'd take the day off from doing anything out here. So remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Look at what a beautiful day it is. Look at this. Oh my goodness, it's a beautiful day. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I am out.